Good afternoon. To June 6th, we're running a Beavercreek Rotary Club. Want to thank our trainers, David Brandenburg, our ticket passer, Beth Handworker for everything she does. I'd like to list all of them. Pete Bales, Mike Weinstein, and Mike's Victor programs, and Jim Gundel for the website. I thank those showed up this morning to help put the flags together. There's tattered flags, so we want to take those right. But thanks for coming on the 4th of July. So we don't thank you for that. Okay. Communication. So we later.
Well, good afternoon. Would you join me in prayer? Oh, Holy Creator, as we begin this time together, we are mindful of those people in Saskatchewan and in Manitoba that are suffering with the fires and being displaced from their homes. We're in the midst of this difficult event, but be with the rescue workers and the government leaders around the world as they assess and begin to work through this tragedy. Give them the wisdom to be with these individuals who are suffering and show us the ways that we can be helpful. Thank you. Amen.
Well, thank you. Secretary of Court, Joe Jenkins. Josh Isley.
No signed in guests. If you're missing anybody, listen. All right, it's your name.
Commissioner Alley, Sergeant Arms. I must be very well. He was here and wanted to go over here.
All right, good afternoon, fellow Rotarians, and hello again to our guests, and welcome again to the June 6th meeting of the Rotary Club of Beavercreek. And now we do know that fellow Rotarian Dave Stewart is not here because he is celebrating one of his favorite days of the year today, which is National Eyewear Day. Moving on to some birthdays and anniversaries, we have Ryan Rushing celebrating a birthday on the 8th. Todd Biggins celebrating a birthday on the 9th. And Pre-Tax celebrating his birthday on the 10th. So we got 3 right in a row. No partner birthday, so no one has to worry about buying a last minute gift for their special someone. Moving on to member anniversaries. Stephanie Ronich will be celebrating 2 years on the 9th. Then yours truly will be celebrating 3 years on the 10th. Again, 2 Rotarians back-to-back days. And then wedding anniversaries. Hopefully Jason Jones remembers he has an anniversary on the 8th. But I have no doubt that he will remember that because that is 12 years of happily ever after with his wife Ashley. Dave Happy will be celebrating 56 years with Deborah on the 8th. And then Alex DeHarris will be celebrating 30 years with Michelle on the 10th. Some good things that happened today in history. 1933, the very first drive-in movie theater opened up in Camden, New Jersey. In 1994, does anyone know what happened about 81 years ago on today?
6th of June.
It was the 6th of June.
Well, D-Day.
D-Day. So last year was the 80th year memorial. They had a few soldiers who actually fought on the beach on that day, still alive, that attended the ceremony, but also a handful of other World War II veterans, and with the oldest one being 107 years old. 1946, the National Basketball Association was created with 11 teams. And interesting enough, it was founded in New York City by owners of major ice hockey teams. And after 79 years, we still have no idea who the GOAT of basketball is. 1969, shout out to the Department of Defense for this one. The first internet connection was created when a network protocol packet was sent from one computer to another computer. And then moving on to 1984, the video game Tetris was released. Fun fact, in 2002, a British resident was jailed for 4 months for playing Tetris on his phone while in an airplane, which is the longest sentence received for playing a video game. Moving on to some fun things to celebrate. Tomorrow, we got National Trails Day, and I know I'm going to be preaching to the choir here, but obviously Beavercreek had some pretty cool trails that you can definitely check out. out this window for all of us, except for maybe Junior over here. We all celebrate National VCR Day. Sunday, if you wake up alongside the bed, you can turn that around by participating in National Upsy Daisy Day. And guys, with it being National Best Friends Day, you can participate in the latest TikTok trend by calling your guy friends at night to tell them good night. I just highly recommend recording it like everyone else and having it on speakerphone because it is hilarious. Moving on to Monday, we got National Meal Prep Day along with National Donald Duck Day. Tuesday is National Black Cow Day. And does anyone know how to properly celebrate that? Very close. Black Cow is another name for a root beer float, which totally makes sense. And then also on Tuesday is National Iced Tea Day, which is for the drink, not the random animal, which I'm sure is somewhere out there. Wednesday is National Making Life Beautiful Day, and also National Corn on the Cob Day. And Thursday, we have World Day Against Child Labor. And I don't know about you, but I feel like parenting thrives on child labor. And also Thursday is National Seersucker Day. If you're looking for some things to do this upcoming week, tomorrow we have a party on the patio right here from 5 to 9. Sunday continues the summer concert series featuring Beavercreek High School class of 2001 legend Noah Witherspoon, who will be playing at Dominic Lefevre Park from 7 to 8. And Tuesday, our friends at the channel will be hosting a Tommy and Free cybersecurity seminar from 12 to 1. Moving on to some Beavercreek student awesomeness. Not a lot to report since it is the end of the school year, but we got some big news. Boys tennis coach Greg Milano, boys volleyball coach Carol Bisack, and boys lacrosse coach Brent Wethington were all named GWAC coach for their respective sports. We also had Parker Hansen win the GWAC Boys Volleyball Athlete of the Year, and Andrew LeBlanc won the GWAC Boys Lacrosse Athlete of the Year. In baseball, we had a heartbreaker. The varsity team lost to Springboro in the semifinal tournament 5-4. On a side note, they did finish their season at an impressive 23-1. And just for comparison, the professional baseball team Colorado Rockies are currently 12-50. And now, most importantly to me, today and tomorrow, that stadium up north will be having a handful of our student athletes looking to bring home some OSHAA state championship titles. And one of the following events, the boys 4x800 meter, the 1600 meter, the 800 meter, the 4x400 meter, and the high jump. We also have some girls student athletes competing in the 100 meter hurdles, 300 meter hurdles, 4x4 meter relay, and shot. Now to our favorite part, today's fines. We've got the standard. If you're not wearing your badge, that is $1. If you're late, which I didn't see anybody, that'll be $1. If you've ever gone to a drive-in movie theater, that is $1. If you ever went to a drive-in movie theater to not watch a movie, that's $2. If you've ever forgot to be behind and rewind a VHS tape before returning it, that's $1. And if you've ever been in an NBA GOAT debate and have not included Kobe Bryant, that is $1, and you are no longer allowed to yell Kobe when throwing something in the trash can.
Happy bucks. Very good.
Happy Bucks for the Indiana Pacers, who pulled out a big one last night. Pacers are not my favorite team, but I had concessions in the arena for many years when I sold pizza, so I got to really get good Pacer seats.
You're never supposed to lose by at least 9 points. Wow, yeah. Look, Beth.
I was in Key West on a girls' trip last week, and I had a lot of fun. First trip without my husband or my kids, so that was really exciting and good fellowship friends.
Pretty good.
Yeah, my youngest son, Alex, is in Nashville, Tennessee, auditioning on American Idol. Wow. Thinks right now it's happy right now.
Why aren't you all?
It's not a lot. So, yeah. They are recording. Well, very good. Yeah. Right.
I put in a happy buck for the Wright State Raiders baseball team beating the #1 seed in D1 Vanderbilt. You got baseball. Perfect.
Cool. I think Vanderbilt was rated #1 overall. Wright State was 96, I think, so it was a good, See what else had advice? JD.
So I was doing an online training for annual review for my job. One of the slides came across that said your personal stake and ethical behavior. Use the four-way test. And it's specified as my decision truthful? Is my decision fair to everyone affected for the organization? And my decision beneficial to all parties? So obviously, I'm thinking somebody in my company at the top is involved in Rotary. That is pretty dead on.
I think we need to figure out who that is. It's plagiarism. We need to.
Yeah, it's
Right.
Think of for honor flight when they fly veterans from Dayton to DC. To where back, well, this next honor flight on September 21st. They're going to do it differently. It might be one of the last ones that happened. There are so few people signing up these days. World War II or passed away, Korean War, and then Vietnam are slowly signing up. When the Air Force heard that, they want to step in and be part of this honor flight. So instead of honor flight flying commercial aircraft from Dayton Airport to DC and back, Air Force will fly 2 C-17 aircraft with veterans on those from here to Andrews Air Force Base and back.
Wow.
The full weekend, September the 19th, 21st, that's marathon weekend. There'll be a lot of events related to honor flight. You'll start hearing more about it. I'm on the committee with the 445th Deputy Commander, and it's going to be a huge, huge event. So we will be looking for sponsors. If you know any companies that want to contribute to help, especially the welcome back ceremony, we're going to have a well-known performer come in, and so they have fees they charge to come in, do things like that. You get a chance, ask your company if they want to sponsor something. We'll have sponsorship levels by next week, but it's going to be a huge event with the veterans, with a big welcome back, with the C-17s. The hangars open up, a gauntlet of people are around to welcome them back, and look forward to it. That's cool.
Yeah, Kurt Blue also for almost 2 years.
He has been.
He is a passionate for that. Sorry. Anyone else? Joe?
All right, so last night, Kudo Sissel got here, he actually accepted an offer for him to play for the Celtics and their white team this year. So he's back, he's kicking butt right now, so. Yeah.
And I had my first Thursday last night to give away some things at the end, and there was a wine basket. 2 tickets were gone, and nobody was there. Junior said, "I'll take it." Oh, yeah. Okay. Good. Time for the tank truck. Number 136. 385. Great. This goes to our Christmas basket fund. And if anything is the same as it's been the last 3 years, it would be the Dave or Joe, so. Joe.
Six photos.
Oh, there was a joker. Oh,
$5 Joker.
very good. All right, now it's time for our speaker. I'm gonna ask Mr. Weinstein to come here and Mr. Speaker.
Wait, is my dad here? Okay, our speaker today, his name is Dr. Will Small, and he serves as Vice President for Advancement at Cedar University. He is our Chief Fundraising Officer, and he will talk to you today, talk to us today about our 1,000 Days Transform campaign. It's a $175 million campaign. Don't worry, I don't think he'll ask for money. With that said, that's another topic he's going to talk about. So I want you just to think back with me. Think back to when you were in your 40s. I know it's harder for some of you haven't made it there. Okay, you're in your 40s. You're healthy. You're a runner. Life is good. And then you get a medical diagnosis that you have cancer. You have a rare blood cancer. And you're given 6 months to live. How would you respond to that? How would you deal with that? Watch this video. This is a glimpse of how our speaker today is dealing with that same diagnosis, all that.
Spreading hope to families impacted by cancer. This week's Tell Me Good News. There was more than a diagnosis for Cedarville University's Dr. Will Smallwood. It became a calling to bring hope to others. Doctors told Smallwood that he had just 6 months to live back in late 2023. He was diagnosed with multiple myeloma, an incurable cancer of the blood. But after intensive treatment and a stem cell transplant, Smallwood is now in remission and on a mission.
A diagnosis of cancer instantly hits the heart and it hits the mind, right? And our minds go to the worst possible things, and that is cancer is going to take my life.
Coming up, the NTR's Tell Me Good News segment will show you how he's using his experience to help those facing similar battles find comfort, encouragement, and hope. It's this week's Tell Me Good News.
Please welcome back to Will Smallwood. This is my second time as an expert at the Beavercreek Rotary. Last time to be here, I was speaking and sharing about the launch of the 1,000 Days Transform campaign at Cedarville University. That was in October of 2021 and in October of 2025. We're going to close that campaign out, and I'm going to share a little bit about that with you at the end and what has transpired at Cedarville. But I do want to talk to you a little bit today about this cancer journey. So on October 7th of 2023, probably the worst possible day to not feel well, because that day was a Saturday homecoming at Cedarville University. And my team is responsible for hosting homecoming. We have usually 2,500 alumni and friends that come back to campus. Not only are those folks on our campus, but obviously our faculty, our staff, and more than 5,000 students that are studying on our campus. So a big day, a lot of activities from early in the morning to late at night, and my team is responsible for executing that event. And I woke up that morning with the most debilitating back pain that you can ever imagine, excruciating back pain. I could barely move. I was in the bed, and it was early in the morning, and the pain was so intense. And I pushed myself out of the bed in pain. Somehow, thankfully to everyone that was on campus, I put clothes on and I sort of made my way. I knew I had to push through the day and really push through the pain, and intense pain all day long. And me and my family have a history of back pain, so I didn't really think much of it. I am a Smallwood male. My father before me, his father before him, all had back issues. And actually in 2015, I had what's called a laminectomy. You might be aware of that. You had a laminectomy to help with some pain, sciatic pain. And so I didn't think much of it. I thought, oh goodness, it's been a few years. This is not working anymore. And so I just pushed through the day. But that pain did not cease at all for several days. And so I called my doctor and I said, something doesn't seem right. And this was in early October. Something doesn't seem right. And she said, let's get an MRI scheduled. That MRI took a little bit of time to get scheduled. I don't know if you are in the medical industry. I've talked with my doctor many times about this, but it took about 6 weeks to get an MRI in Dayton, right? And in fact, I went to the other side of Dayton to get this MRI because it was the only place open. The day that I had the MRI, I also got COVID, and I felt really great being in the tube. By the time I had the MRI, which was the week before Thanksgiving, I had already lost 25 pounds. So back pain, the loss of 25 pounds in about 5-6 weeks, I knew in my mind something's not right. The MRI was that there were 5 lesions on my spine.
all the way from the lower part of the spine till about the top mid part of the spine. Nothing in my neck or the upper shoulder area, but everything from down on from say the T lumbar all the way down to the lower lumbar. There were 5 lesions. And the doctors told me, doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean we don't want to go straight to the worst possible diagnosis. But if you're like me, what is your mind already thinking? Yeah, it's cancer, right? And so within a week or so, they performed a biopsy, and yes, the biopsy came back, and it was cancer. And so we began a really intense journey from there. Within just a week or so, I was at the oncologist here at Soin Cancer Center. I want to name her. Her name is Dr. Kathleen Oxner, and she is a rock star. And by the time that I saw her, it was a week before Christmas. And she had already read the diagnosis. She had already read, or she had already received all the MRI and the biopsy reports, and she had already determined what it was and the plan of treatment. She had talked to 5 or 6 doctors from around the country, including an expert at the James Cancer Center at Ohio State University. She had jumped on it right away. And that first day that we met with her, she looked at me and she said, "Will, you have a blood cancer known as multiple myeloma." And she said, "What has happened is the T cells in your body have gone haywire and they have mutated. And what we determined from the biopsy is that 70% of cells are, and you have 6 months to live." She said, "That's the bad news. The good news is I got a great plan for you. And we've got a plan to attack this is aggressive and that it will respond to very aggressive treatment." Well, you can imagine all of the mix of emotions that come with that kind of diagnosis. Certainly there were lots of tears between my wife and I, and prayer, which is something that has been a part of our lives as faith-forward people, but that prayer became a little more intense. And we began to pray specifically that no matter what, that we would walk through this journey with dignity, that we would walk through this journey with courage, that we would walk through this journey with continued faith. That we wouldn't lose our faith because all of a sudden that we got a cancer diagnosis. And so those were the beginning early days. And so within a week of that first appointment, I had what's called a bone marrow biopsy. Has anyone ever had a bone marrow removed? Oh, you have? Yeah, it's miserable. It is miserable. So you are wide awake during a bone marrow biopsy, and it is exactly what it sounds. And I'm sorry that you've eaten lunch. But a bone marrow biopsy is when they take a needle and they place that needle right here in your back and they shove it deep within the bone. You're awake, yes, on the spot, but I can tell you it just doesn't feel great. Fortunately, they've got the procedure down to less than 9 minutes. And then they, right at the end, they flip a switch and it's like a vacuum, and they vacuum out the inside of your bone to take a sample. And you feel as if your entire body is going through that vacuum. And that was the very beginning of that moment. And then for the next 5 months, I began a chemo treatment here at Soin Cancer Center. And I am certainly a fan of Dr. Oxner and the treatment that I received at the Soin Cancer Center here. That 5-month treatment was every week for 5 months. Every Monday and Friday, I received 2 abdominal injections of chemo.
And yes, that is about as fun as it sounds, right? So 2 abdominal injections. On Mondays, they would go on the left side, and on Mondays, they would go on the right side. And we would do that pattern over and over again for 5 successive weeks. At the same time that that was going on, I was engaging with Dr. Abdullah Khan at the James Cancer Center in partnership with the Soin Cancer Center. And a really, really incredible partnership. Dr. Khan is probably one of the top 5 multiple myeloma doctors in the world. And he's 45 minutes from where I live. Now, some of you might say that's just coincidence. I say it's providential. And I believe that the randomness of me being in Ohio, I'm not from here. I was born and raised in Florida. I've lived in 5 states, which sounds like I can't keep a job, but that may be true. But before that, I was living in Oklahoma for a decade, serving at another university there in Oklahoma. And one January morning, the president of Cedarville University gave me a random phone call and said, "Will, have you ever heard about Cedarville University? We've got an opportunity for to lead advancement, and I want you to come and spend a weekend with us and think about coming to Cedarville." Now that seems kind of random, right? But I really believe, and I believe as a faithful person, that God orchestrates a lot of these things in our lives. I believe that He orchestrated the fact that I would move all the way to Cedarville, Ohio, in the cornfields, right, of Cedarville, Ohio, and that I would be within 25 minutes of a cancer center here and 45 minutes of a cancer center that could treat my cancer and have doctors that are on the cutting edge of this type of cancer. After 5 months of chemo treatment and engaging with Dr. Khan, I underwent a stem cell transplant or a bone marrow transplant at the James Cancer Center. So the first week of May of 2024, just a little over a year ago, after 5 months of chemo, that brought the 70% cancer cells down to 15%. Yeah, that was a good day. And from that moment, then I could, because the cancer cells were at a small enough level, relatively speaking, I could undergo a bone marrow transplant. So they harvested 5 million stem cells from my own body. And I don't know how the technology works. I am a fundraiser, not a doctor, so no one would ever confuse me with being that intelligent. But those stem cells, they manipulated somehow to prepare them to go back into my body to be healthy and to restore some of my health. So I entered the James Cancer Center on May 13th of 2024. And on that very day, the first day, they hit me with what they called a fatal dose of chemo. Fatal dose. And they told me that. A fatal dose. And you think about the challenges. I was like, wait a minute, I thought we were trying to heal my body and keep me alive. And what we were doing is giving me a fatal dose of chemo. So I received that fatal dose of chemo, and 2 days later, they inserted 2 million of my own stem cells back into my body. And the blood, my own blood, it was the recovery method for the fatal dose of chemo. I spent 16 days there at the James Cancer Center. Hospital food is hospital food, and you don't sleep well. The 2 things the doctors kept telling me all the time is eat plenty of good food and rest. I'm like, you have neither here. And so, but I am very grateful for the treatment. So I went home. After 16 days, I spent all of last summer really recovering. And then in August of 2024, I arrived back to the James Cancer Center. They did the blood work. I had nothing all summer long, last summer long. I was just healing. I received the news that the cancer was in durable remission. Durable remission just means that the cancer is still there. It is not curable. yet. And, but they're gonna keep it as in check as possible, as long as possible. I am currently in a 2-year maintenance cycle. I am halfway through that maintenance cycle, so I've got another year to go. And then, oh boy, I get to do another bone marrow biopsy. And then we'll figure out where to go from there. They do not know how long that the multiple myeloma will remain in check. It has been different for different people. It could be 5 years, it could be 7 years. I have spoken with a gentleman in Dalton, Georgia, who's on his 13th year post stem cell transplant. So I'm rooting for that guy, right? I'm with him. I'm like, I want to be on the 13-year plan. And then eventually it will come back and we might have to go through this process again. There are other treatments like CAR T cell therapy that are being used right now to test on multiple myeloma. But eventually what will happen is that the cancer will no longer respond to the current drugs. And what will happen is the cancer cells will fill my kidneys and it will take my life. But in all of that, through this process, the one thing that kept coming up over and over and over again is that on the walls at Cedarville University, we have a verse, and it's Psalm 90:12. And Psalm 90:12 says, "Teach us to number our days so that we might gain a heart of wisdom." And I thought about that over and over and over again because I've been taught to number my days. Not a lot of us have that opportunity in life to know the number of our days. Someone told me 6 months. And so I was taught to number our days, and I might hope that I might gain a heart of wisdom, might hope that I might be more faithful. But one of the things that I've learned in this process is the opportunity is that we never know what somebody is walking through and taking the opportunity to be an encouragement and to be a blessing to them. And because of this opportunity and the news stories and the various things, my wonderful publicist, Mark Weinstein, who has gotten the story all over the country, I've had an opportunity to encourage other people. And I am grateful for the fact that I've been staying for even longer. And I'm happy to continue to tell the story. Be grateful for the incredible medical care that exists in this region. So, yes, sir.
I saw an article this week, New York Times. Yes. Passed away from multiple myeloma with, was depositing calcium in her muscle, but in her heart and stuff. But I read an article in the New York Times today, or like earlier this week.
Yes.
That they have a possible cure for the disease. They actually said cure.
Well, send me that article, brother. Yeah. Well, I mean, let's Mark, let's do it. It's incredible. I mean, Dr. Khan at the James Cancer Center has told me, Will, my goal is to give you that 13 years because he says, I think in 13 years we can get to a cure. He said, we're really, really close on multiple myeloma. We don't really know, we still don't know how it comes about. We don't know how it develops in people. We don't know why, but we know after the fact that it does develop, we know exactly what takes place. And so we know how to treat it and we know how to get after it. We just don't know how to prevent it from the beginning. He said, and my doctors have said, Will, because I asked the question as all of you would. I think I've lived a pretty clean life. I would say that one of the things that I worried about, I asked the doctor, did I stand in front of the microwave too long as a kid, right? Of course, they said, no, you stand in front of the microwave too long. I'm not a smoker, right? I'm not a drinker. I haven't put other substances into my body, right? I haven't done some of those things. And they have said to me, Will, you've done everything right, but you got cancer. And so again, I go back to the fact that where we landed, and our message has been that we were faith forward. We have a strong faith and belief in God. And some people might take this moment and become bitter and become angry and to even question the goodness of God. And in this process, one of the things that has really become a reality for us is that I got cancer, but that doesn't change the goodness of God. That doesn't change his faithfulness. That doesn't change that he is kind and merciful. How do I know that? Well, again, he planted me in a place near incredible medical treatment. He also planted me at a university that has rallied around us. I couldn't eat all the food that was delivered to us during the treatment process. People were bringing us so much food, we couldn't eat it all, right? We were covered over and over again by prayer, and people from around the world who were praying for us. And so, but not only that, when I got to sewing, some of the nurses were super they were good to me. And I'm thankful because they had needles and they came right. So I'm very grateful to wear my Cedarville gear. And as I walked off into the cancer center Monday and Friday, you know, the first couple weeks, you can imagine where my state of mind was. And I am definitely an optimist, and people who know me, I can always see things in a positive way. But those first 3 weeks I was not my normal self. But I began to look around the room, and there's about 20 or so, if you've never been in the cancer center in the infusion room, there's about 20 or so infusion treatment and chairs, and to look in the faces of those that were receiving treatment. And one of the things that I said to myself was, I want to walk in from very early on. I told my wife, I said, I've seen faces, and they need a smile. They need a word of kindness, a word of encouragement. And who cares what we're walking through? Can we be an encouragement? Can we be a blessing to somebody else? And this is going to sound self-serving, but one of the great encouragements that we received is one of the nurses about 3 months into the journey. She said, Will, we love when you and your wife come in. She goes, you're kind, you smile, you treat nurses well. And I said, well, goodness gracious, why wouldn't I treat you well? You're saving my life. And I know other people are not having their best days when they come in here, and that's okay. But I want to have my best day. I want to be an encouragement and a blessing to them. And we're grateful for the opportunity to continue to serve in that manner. And so in the midst of that, the other blessing that we received is our president hired me to launch a $125 million campaign. And in the midst of this, I get cancer. But I want to tell you what a blessing it is to serve people. The day that I told him about the diagnosis, you rarely hear a president of a university tell you this. He said, Will, I don't care if we raise another dollar. I want you to be healthy. And that just took so much pressure off and allowed me to have space and freedom to heal and to allow the treatment to work. And fortunately, Mark knows this, I live about a 5-minute walk across the street from the campus in my office. So it wasn't very far away. And so I could still interact with the team on a daily basis. But in the midst of that, the goodness of God is that the campaign continued to grow. So we launched this campaign in October of 2021. $125 million campaign, comprehensive campaign, the most aggressive campaign in Cedarville University's history. And we launched it at 125 million. The day we launched, we had already secured about $96 million for that. And so we began that journey, and very quickly we got to the $125 million mark. And what do presidents and board of trustees do when you hit your goal? They can pay it more, right? And so they did. And so what they do, they moved it to $175 million. And so I want to take you a little bit of journey here on the 1,000 days transform very quickly here. Thank you so much. Down advances. Okay, I think I can do that one. Yes, very good. Well, maybe I can. Oh, yeah, there we go. Hey, very good. All right. So, and I went too fast. All right. So the 1,000 days. Why the 1,000 days? Is we believe that students on our campus spend about 1,000 days for 4 years between the fall and the spring semester, with breaks at Christmas and summer. About 1,000 days, right? So we want to make every day matter. We want to make every day count. We want to transform every student, and we want to steward all that God has entrusted to us, right? And so the 1,000 Days Transform campaign comes about because Cedarville University, if you don't know this, has experienced transformational growth. Transformational growth. And this is our students coming out of chapel, heading over to the Chick-fil-A. They're going to class, but they're going to Chick-fil-A, aren't they, Mark? Yes. So we have chapel every day. And we have about 3,000 students that attend that chapel every day. It's amazing culture. Our peer pressure is not, oh, I have to go to chapel. Our peer pressure is opposite. You didn't go to chapel today? It's like Hamilton. You got to be in the room, right? Be in the room where it happens. So it's an incredible experience. And so we've experienced unprecedented growth. This was the class of 2028. That came last fall. Cedarville's largest freshman class at 1,176 students, and we are on track to exceed that. And so, because students are coming, what do we need to do? We need to educate them, we need to feed them, we need to house them, and we need to make sure that they have an incredible transformational experience. And that's the purpose of the campaign. You can see the growth at Cedarville here. Over a decade or so. This year, more than 6,000 students. Some of those are students who are studying online. Some of those are students that we have relationships with Christian high schools through our Christian school partnership all over the country. We have about 4,300 undergrad students that live on our campus and study there, and some graduate students as well in programs like physician assistant program, PharmD program, MBA, and MDiv, and so on. So we've had unprecedented growth, but we wanted to remain firm and committed to who we are as an institution. We are an institution that transforms through excellent education and intentional discipleship in submission to a biblical worldview. And so we're committed to that. And we believe that that's why parents, students are choosing Cedarville University. So launched the 1,000 Days Transform campaign to address 4 areas: facilities, affordability and accessibility. Can students afford to come to Cedarville? To transform lives in and out of the classroom, so the holistic student experience, and then provide for the future sustainability. A lot of those are through the state. Yes. And so, as I said, I expand our facilities. We have built these facilities, almost $130 million worth of facilities just in the last 4 years. A civil engineering center for our civil engineering program, the Chick-fil-A. Now, I'm going to say this on record. I know it's being recorded, but Chick-fil-A doesn't really want us to say this, but it is the world's largest Chick-fil-A. I'm going to go on record. An athletic and academic expansion. My fonts are not working out really well here. We had to transfer our computers. This is Wood Hall, which is a dorm. This is nuance and this, which students call the blushy dorm, and this is, the short business that we just opened last fall, a $40 million facility completely paid for through gifts from alumni and friends. And then finally, this facility right here, I'll talk about in a few minutes. That construction has begun really this month, and I'll talk about that in a few minutes. We want to continue to address student affordability, growing our annually funded and endowed scholarships. We are now approaching nearly 400 endowed scholarships with a desire to continue to grow. We want to continue to address their chapel global outreach academic programs that are outstanding athletic programs, and then lifetime gifts to Cedarville University to continue to promote sustainability for the long term. All right, so this is the last piece of the campaign. This is the Bolton House Academic Center. We've begun construction on this. It will finish in the fall of 2027. It will open in the fall of 2027. It will house the School of Education and Social, house all of our liberal arts programs, history and government, sociology, psychology, those kind of things. It's a near 40,000 square foot facility. It's a near, because of inflation, it is near as much as the Schaumburg Business Center. It's nearly $40 million. But we're really excited because of the dome. This will be right on State Road 72. It'll be the first thing that you see at Cedarville University, and really begins the launch of the building on the outside part of the campaign. So all to say, that's the 1,000-page Transform campaign. And when your trustees tell you go after 175 million, you swallow hard, right? But I'm pleased to report today that we're at 198,500,000, and we expect by the time that we close this that we'll be well over 200 million. And we're very thankful for the generosity of alumni and friends. We're very thankful for the hard work of everyone in our team on campus. And of course, we cannot forget the faithfulness of God to continue to provide. Thank you so much for allowing me to share today. Yeah, any questions that you might have about Cedarville, cancer, anything in between?
Well, I sent you the email. I sent it to Mr. Weinstein.
Perfect. He will get it to me. Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much. I'm going to read it today. I'm going to call Dr. Oxner and Dr. Khan and say, hey, I just read this. What do we know? So that's great. Yes, sir.
Does the old administration building come down?
No, Founders Hall is still there. Founders Hall is the original building. It is still there. It's not coming down. What's coming down is Williams Hall. Williams Hall was originally a dorm, and it needs to come down. The hallway is about yay wide. You can put your hands on both sides and walk. It's where our School of Education, English and languages are housed there. They're getting the Rolls Royce coming up, but that's coming down. But the original Founders Hall will still remain, and that's where our administration. I don't house there, but that's where our president and our academic vice president. Yeah, yes.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm new to Rotary, and I got to share, we have had some amazing speakers, sir. You raised the bar high today.
Oh, thank you. That's very kind. Thank you so much for your kind words. Yeah, it's encouragement. Yes, sir.
So typically when people get that kind of news, they know when time's getting ready to end for them, they make a big bucket list.
Yeah.
Did you do the same?
Not a bit. No, I told you I'm really optimistic, right? So yes, I had 2 weeks, probably 3 weeks where it probably, I would say maybe the worst headspace that I've ever been in, right? And not because we were fearful or anything like that. We were just contemplating life. This might sound selfish a little bit, but one of my prayers is I'm married really, really well. I outkick my coverage. And it's not even close, right? I married really, really well, and I've been married this year in December, it'll be 25 years. And this was gonna be, we were just had celebrated 23 years when all this was going on. And one of my prayers was, Lord, this is an amazing gift that you've given me, this woman, and 23 years is just not long enough. And I need more time with her. And it was not a prayer of like of salvation or anything like that, but it was just a prayer of like, hey, I need more time. But it wasn't a bucket list prayer. And I've been fortunate to get to see a lot of things. If I could have a few minutes, my wife and I just Monday returned from we were in Portugal and Spain. I never thought I'd get to travel like that again. I told my doctors that I was going to travel like that again, and they were like, "Okay, Will," because one of the things that when you have a stem cell, I don't know if you know this, but it wipes your system clean. You are a baby. And so I actually had to start my whole vaccination process all over again, right? So all of the vaccinations that you receive as a baby, I got all over again, except where I'm still in the process of, I don't have a full MMR, which they were really concerned about was measles, and me getting measles. But I said, I'm going to travel anyways. And they're like, okay. I was fortunate, this past time, we had now hit our 50th country and I've been on 6 continents. That's not a bucket list thing. It's just been an opportunity that we've been afforded to do. My wife and I do not have any children, and so we consider the 4,000 college students our children. But we've been have an opportunity to go where they are when they're around the world, and it's been a blessing. So no bucket list, but 3 weeks of like, what's going on here, and then we're going to fight this, we're going to beat this, and we're going to keep going. So thanks for the question. I think somebody else. Beth?
Yeah, I was just gonna, I think it's fascinating to see the enrollment continue to, right? So many universities are struggling,
Yes.
you know, and I'm sure that's a testament to the education you're providing. And
Sure.
that just a comment, way to go.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I mean, again, our president, Dr. White, leads very well. And we have a cabinet of 10 individuals. And I'm not putting myself in this, but I would say about 7 of them could go be outstanding college presidents right now. But they chose to continue them because of the mission and what we were trying to accomplish in terms of education and discipleship, and fortunate. And so we built a lot of dorms, and we are breaking ground on this month on a set of apartments across the street. And we're adding that to our portfolio. And these are apartments that we will build, we will own. We're not outsourcing those. And so that's helping. But even so, Dr. John Wood, who serves as our VP for Student Life, and I had a conversation earlier a couple days ago, and he spent some of his vacation trying to get a hold of the housing because we're already in a spot with what we think's coming in the fall. That even with all the housing that we built, we might have some mid and tri rooms, and we've been trying to get away from that, but we can't. And so we're very thankful for that the enrollment growth. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, very good. Thank you so much.
Well, that gives a whole new meaning to it's not what happens to you, it's how you deal with it. Right? Wow, that's great. Thank you. Dr. Small, that was good, Brett. Dedication, and again, I don't know how you do it, but it's called In Every Life. Right? It fits it really well. So he's already signed that and we'll go to the library. I don't give this to Beth right now, so I don't end up having to put it back in the room. Next week's speaker is Kim Vesey. Kim is former executive director of the Hospice of Dayton. So Kim a theme here, just by accident how it happened, but she's a friend of mine. She and my wife worked together for several years, and I know her very well. She's got a great story. She's actually written 7 books too, and she may talk about her latest one. Next week's speakers are David and Elizabeth Kuzak. We'll have a combined board meeting this term and next term after next week's meeting. Keep an eye out for any upcoming classes. Beavercreek on the Facebook or an email. Anything else for the good of the club? So please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic and one nation under God, indivisible, against all. Have a great weekend. Have a great. It's funny. Yeah, I have people from study, but it's if you actually hear all of them, it'll take years. I have everything. Why? I know, I told machine for that, I teach you. Ordering me, bias. States, no, well, they screwed up. It's interesting. Yeah, well, okay, crazy on license project for the machine. And the license project, so I was saying, that's your goal, it was actually my favorite. And so I don't know. But it's small, but I don't know that once, but. Hey, I from my own without any more. So. Oh, wow. So we should be ready to make it. It's where everyone is from. Markets, I will. Since then, great nursing students review on it, so I asked to know about. Yeah, job. Nothing, the organizations that are serving. Nothing, so other than that.
Who did you say had the cancer, Eric?
Well,
Who did you say had the cancer?
My mother. Yeah, she died from it.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, wife is a licensed nurse. Her good diagnosis some years ago.
All right, where's the mouse? Where's the stop share? Was it working?
Yeah, it's great.